Thank you for having me, man. I'm not gonna lie. Ever since Josh invited me, I've been stressed, and it's not so much for preaching. I'm gonna be honest with you. He was like, Pastor Ben, we kind of try to measure our time, and I'm like, I respect that, but I was like, I'm Latino, and the problem with that is Hispanics don't have a concept of time. Whenever we get together, we party till the wheels fall off. You know, it can be 3 a.m, and then the tia will be there with the baby just dancing on the floor. The baby passed out. Your uncle's passed on the floor. But I was like, babe, I don't know if I can make it that time, but I'm going to try, okay? So bear with me. I'm going to try. I'm like, man, I didn't get sleep. I was like, man, can I finish at 9:45? That is my challenge today, Pastor Josh. So bear with me, because when I go to my church, we just go until someone falls asleep or I fall asleep, or whatever happens first. Just joking with you guys, but thank you for having me, Pastor Josh. And I don't know if, I feel like everybody says that, or sometimes when they go to a church, but Pastor Josh is definitely a friend of mine. Small world, right? So I didn't realize, one, that he was here or in San Diego. I didn't realize he existed. We met at a worship night, and him and his wife sang. It was about 1.5 years ago, right? 2 years ago, Kingdom Seeker. And we were hanging out, so I was like, man, you guys were awesome. You guys were great. And afterwards, I come to find out that Pastor Josh and my sister are really good buddies, and they went to the same college. And I was like, wow, mind blown. And we became friends ever since. He's been a blessing to me. He's been there in those hardest of times, and I owe you a lot. You guys have a special pastor, and I mean that with all of my heart. He is a special man. And today I just want to get into, if you guys will allow me, I want to speak today. We're in week 2 of Warrior, and what a great series, what a great theme to talk about. And really I want to talk about the heart of a warrior. The heart of a warrior, because we can do so much, but there's only so much we can do. And there comes a point where things have to change up and switch up. And the reality is, when it comes to the enemy, AKA the devil, we don't have the luxury to walk into this battle casually. We cannot afford to walk into and take the enemy for granted, because if we do, I promise it will not turn out great. And the reality is, it's not that victory is unattainable. It's just that how we look and how we enter the battle. I want to take you to one verse, 1 Peter 5:8. It says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, who's the adversary? The devil. Not your sister, not your wife, not your husband, not your mother-in-law, okay? Not your boss, the devil, all right? The devil, look what he wants to do. As a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. I don't know if you guys have watched Animal Planet. I started watching this show, The Serengeti. Woo! You guys need to watch that. The way these lions pounce on each other when they're hungry. There's no like, hey, can I eat you? No, he comes and kills them. He destroys them. He doesn't ask. He doesn't, hey, do you mind if I ruin your day real quick? No. He pounces. And it's very interesting how God compares the devil to a lion. And he can, not just that, how he wants to destroy you. He doesn't come to play with you. He doesn't come to waste your time. He is coming to destroy you. And as believers, we enter into this spiritual warfare. The day that you accepted Christ, you entered into a never-ending battle. And I just want to give you good news. You can win. We can win. But the fact is that we speak about victory, but we live in defeat. And I want to encourage you to not just speak about it, but to be about it. I want to live about it. Yes, there are going to be times where it sucks and we're going to be challenged, but I want to encourage you today, because the devil's coming to destroy. And I want to give you a couple things, the realities that every warrior faces. Because the day we wake up, we are going to face, I'm going to give you 3 things real quick, and then we'll get into our sermon. Is that okay? Check this out. Every day we engage in the fight of our lives. The moment you step down from that bed, the moment maybe you sleep on the floor, the moment you roll up and get up, I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe some of you sleep standing, I don't know, maybe, who knows? Some zombies just stand there, right? The moment you decide to activate your day, you are engaging in the fight of your life. And again, it's against your adversary. It's not against the person. That person might be an instrument of the devil, but that's not your enemy. It's the devil. Number 2 is consistently we find ourselves, check this out, in circumstances we cannot change. How many of you guys ever found yourself in a situation that not only is it frustrating, but you can't do nothing about it? Where it's like, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, Pastor Ben, I feel stuck. I feel defeated. Number 3, every warrior faces this. We will be tempted to give up. Maybe this morning you're like, man, you read my mind. I'm right there. I'm ready to just clock out and just call it a day. Call it a lifetime. I'm ready to just walk the other way. I don't blame you. I think if we're being honest, okay, I believe all of us struggle with those 3 things. And those are real things. Those are things that the devil will use to put you in a position to walk away. And it's tough. Because maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. See, Pastor, I don't deal with that. Well, but the time will come where you will be faced with these realities and you will be stuck in a scenario that you cannot change. You are ready to give up and you're just tired of fighting. You're tired. The Bible says, fight the good fight. That's not on the notes, but I'm gonna just give you that as an extra. Fight the good fight. Paul was able to finish. He's like, I have finished my race. I have fought the fight. I have finished the course. What he's saying is, I struggled. I went through a lot. I went through a lot of emotional trauma. I went through a lot of desertion. I went through a lot of betrayal. People wanted to kill me, but I fought into the end. If we're going to engage in a fight, it's this one, ladies and gentlemen. Some of us waste our time engaging on the wrong fights. We have misplaced energy. We focus in the wrong things, the wrong areas, the wrong people. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but what I'm trying to say is if only we placed our energy in the correct place. If only we changed our perspective and stopped looking at my spouse, stop looking at my friend as the enemy and say, you know what, devil, it's on you. I'm not fighting him, I'm fighting you. I promise you your perspective will change. And one of the people that I love the most in the Bible, it's just a story, I feel like his story is never ending. It's King David. Man, did that guy just go through a lot of bad times, huh? Talk about highs and lows. Talk about someone who had the peak of the peak at 17 years old, then went low, then hiding, and his son wants to kill him, then the king. Imagine that. And David faced a lot of scenarios where he was just in fear. Where he was in this position where he could not change the circumstance, where he was fighting and he was just like, man, I'm tired. And honestly, he was probably ready to give up. You know, I don't know about you. I don't know if you guys like sports. I love sports. Last night I had a UFC watch party, right? I love the UFC, all right? And it was crazy because I got my wife into it. If I get my wife into it, I promise you'll like it, all right? My wife is like, if they're like, get him, right? And one of the craziest scenarios, why do I like UFC more than boxing? One, because I just feel like it's more action. That's not the point though. Ready? Check this out. I love the UFC because, man, most fights are vicious, man. These guys do not come to play, let's high five. No, they're coming to take each other's head off. And most fights either end in a KO, TKO, or a tap out. Sometimes they go to the judge's scorecard and we're like, boo, you know, last night the last one ended in a score. I'm like, man, that was whack, and I walked away. It's easy for me to say I'm not in there, right? But I love it because these fighters are so vicious, and oftentimes a fighter will be going in there. He starts off ready. You see him in his face. I'm like, man, he's mean mugging. And then like 2 minutes in, he has a bloody face. He has a bruised eye. His face, his arms are swollen. Last night we saw a guy's arm to get dislocated, and his arm was flapping around. He looked like a fish out of water. I was like, what is wrong with this man? And it's so vicious. But oftentimes he finds himself in that difficult position. He's just struggling. And at that point, either my wife or I will look at each other and we're like, man, this man is not gonna make it another round. I don't even know if he's gonna finish the fight, the round. And sometimes he's bleeding so fast, my wife is telling me, tell him to stop. And I'm like, babe, we're not in there. I'm not the ref. Like, you tell him to stop. She's looking at me, tell him, stop. And it's so difficult. it almost seems like, man, it's just a matter of time before that man, that woman gives up, gets knocked out, and is done for the day. But there's always this, I call it a magical moment. I'm a fan, so I call it a magical moment. There's a magical moment where, check this out, where the fighter looks like he is stuck in the impossible. Somehow, some way, he digs deep inside and finds a way not just to make it to the end, but to win. And oftentimes he's like his bloody face, his eyes shut, and he's like, yeah, let's go. And then Joe Rogan comes in and he says, congratulations, sir, you shook the world, or something like that, right? And then he says, Joe Rogan always says in this scenario, he's like, man, it looks like you were out for a minute. He's like, sir, you have the heart of a warrior. Now imagine how that guy must feel in that moment. Yeah, let's go. Anybody else wants it? Somehow, he comes back from the impossible to do something great that he couldn't do. How did he do that? Because he had the heart of a warrior. Because regardless of the scenario, regardless of the position, regardless of the failure, or regardless of the mistakes he had made, he hung in there. I'm not a fighter. I'm not gonna pretend to be. You can look at me. I'll probably be like, I'm not gonna pretend to be a fighter. Like my ankle sprains just by looking at it. I can't do that. So I can only imagine these men, how tough they must be. These women, how tough they must be. Truth is, I really believe that some of us today are probably going through the fight of our lives. And you are facing those realities that every warrior faces. You're probably stuck. You're tired of fighting. You're ready to tap out. And you're stuck in a circumstance that you believe cannot change, that hasn't changed. You're like, Pastor, I've been praying for this man for 40 years. He don't change. Quick testimony, my grandmother prayed for my grandfather 40 years before he got to know the Lord. 40 years. So it might not change today, but change is coming. And most of us today are stuck in the fight of the lives. I've seen the strongest of men and women crumble at the feet of the enemy because they are exhausted. They're tired. Quite frankly, I don't blame you. I'm tired sometimes too, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I'm just done. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a pastor. Sometimes I don't even know why God put me as a pastor. I don't have the qualities. I'm just like, why me, God? I don't have the patience. I'm like, use someone else. Use my wife. She's got it. Just take her. And sometimes I feel like I have no answers for what's happening in my life or what's transpiring. And sometimes I see the people with most potential, and God has a purpose on each one of our lives. And God is wanting to do something great, but you're like, I'm done. Pastor Ben, Pastor Josh, I'm tired. I don't blame you, but I'm ready to give it in. I'm sick of this man. I'm sick of this woman. I'm sick of these kids. Got like 50 kids running around. I got a dog. I'm sick of him. You know what I mean? I'm tired of him, man. He don't listen to me. And you are engaged in a fight that, man, I don't know what's going to happen. Most of you today find yourselves fighting for your kids. Most of you are just fighting for another day. Most of you are fighting for your marriage. You're trying to stay alive. Most of you are probably finding yourself stuck in a very unfortunate position that's very stressing, taxing on your mind and on your heart. Maybe due to frustration today, you find yourself, I'm just done. I'm sick of this guy. I'm sick of this scenario. I'm done. I'm trying a new route. But I want to encourage you to have a heart of a warrior. I want to encourage you to have a heart of a warrior. But if we're going to have a heart of a warrior, we need to understand the following. I want you to follow me with Psalms chapter 13. Psalms chapter 13, and it says like this. We're going to read verses 1 through 2. And this is King David. And it doesn't say where exactly he penned this, but clearly he was in some distress. As we read it, you'll see that clearly David was going through some things. It doesn't, you don't have to pass the first four sentences to realize, yeah, this man was going through some issues. Check this out. How long wilt thou forget me? He's speaking to the Lord. Oh, Lord, forever? How long wilt thou hide thy face from me? Man, it's like, God, why are you hiding from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? That sounds like a lot of us today. Sheesh, he's reading my mind. How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? He's stuck. See, number one, if we're going to have a heart of a warrior, we cannot be discouraged by the current position. If we're going to have the heart of a warrior, church, we cannot be discouraged by the current position we find ourselves in. So quick question, where do you find yourself struggling today? What's transpiring in your life that's sending you down a place of just confusion, loss, frustration? I want to encourage you to not be discouraged. You say, Pastor, but there's been silence. David was like, how long? I'm like, where you at? Silence, nothing more discouraging when there's silence when you actually need direction from God. He's like, God, what do you need? Where were you at? And God's like what's up? We have questions that provide no answers. Hey, you're like, God, I need help. And God's like, just wait. And we're like, but I need a question. Just wait. Nothing works. I hate delays. You want to see me go from pastor to mini thug real quick? Put me in a delay. I get so mad. I'm like, delay in the road. I get so upset. I don't know why. I got a problem, guys. Pray for me. But there's silence, there's questions, and there's delays. I want to encourage you. If you're going to have a heart of warrior, you cannot be discouraged by that. Maybe that's your position this morning. Maybe you say, Pastor, I've been stuck here for 20 years. If you only knew, I believe you. I'll take your word for it. You know what those things lead to? When we are taken by silence, questions, and delays, those things normally lead us to worry. David was like, God, how long? Like, I'm not diminishing what David was going through. In fact, I'm putting a light on it. David was going through some things, folks. And David was like, how long? How many of you guys ever felt, you say, God, how long? Please give me direction. How long? What are you going to do? God, are you going to say something? Say hi at least. Throw me a bone. How long do I have to wait? When are things going to change? And we are consumed by worry. We naturally respond with worry, frustration, anger, and fear. That's a natural response. I understand. I get that. That's me. I normally resort to frustration. It's my go-to right there. I'm not asking you to ignore your problem. I'm asking you to acknowledge God. See, because if you're not going to be discouraged, it's not about ignoring the problem. I always tell people, don't ask God to take away your problem. Look to God and say, man, my God is bigger than my problem. Amen? And see, so folks, I'm not asking you to ignore it. I'm not asking you to diminish it. What I'm asking this morning is acknowledge God. Psalms 57:7, I have a verse right here. It says, this is David again. This is another situation. David says, my heart is fixed. Oh God, my heart is fixed. What he's saying is, God, I'm in the middle of this. My heart, my eyes, my heart, my mind, my soul, regardless of what's going on, I'm not going to be discouraged because I am looking to you. Woo! Some of us have been, God, take this problem away. How about God? Just be here. God, help me to just look at you instead of looking at my problem. Help me to just acknowledge you instead of asking you to remove my problem. Now, it'd be nice. I don't blame you. Sometimes I pray that too. I'm like, God, just take this away, please, Lord. But the reality is, if we're going to have a heart of a warrior, we cannot be discouraged by our current position. Number 2, I would like for you to follow me. The verses that come in says, verse 3 and 4. It says, consider and hear me, O Lord, my God. Lighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. He's saying, if you don't answer me now, I'm probably going to die. Lest my enemies say, I have prevailed against him. And those that trouble me rejoice when I am moved. So David's saying, God, save me now before my enemies come and take me. God, I am surrounded. We just sang about that. I am surrounded. I am overtaken. There's literally nothing I can do. There's literally nothing. And it's funny because we will look at the problem and we will be taken by it. That's me right there. Sometimes I look at the difficult situations in my life and I'm like, oh, Lord, I don't know. Dios, por favor, no. Number 2 is God does not, you need to remember, if you're going to have a heart of a warrior, you need to remember that God does not place you in a position to fail. Come on, somebody. Come on. See, it doesn't matter what it looks like today. It doesn't matter what it looked like yesterday. It don't matter what it looks like tomorrow. God does not place me in a position to fail. Now, let's rewind real quick. I don't have to like it. I didn't necessarily ask for it. I'm not clapping and like, yes, Jesus, thank you for difficulty. No, I get that. We're human. But what I'm asking you to is understand that if you're going through a difficult time, if you're going through a season of unrest, if you're struggling with a battle by yourself, if you have something, if you're struggling and you have a burden that you can't do nothing, I want you to understand, God did not place you in a position to fail. Do you feel stuck this morning in a difficult position? Is your hope fading away as the days go by? Do you feel like a failure this morning? Have you failed? Look up failure in the dictionary, Benjamin Galan, right there. I promise you. I shouldn't be up here. I really shouldn't. Normally, like, for me, failure, it leaves like a bad taste in my mouth. It's just like, ugh. You know, it's just when you take that medicine, it just sticks with me. Normally, like, you drink some medicine, some nasty, like grape, nasty medicine that you have to drink something. I don't know, like, it's a momentary thing. But when I feel like I have failed, man, that sticks with me for days. I'm like, ugh. There's been failures that stuck with me as a bad taste for years. It took me 4 years to get over certain failures. It took me 5, 6, 7. And I was so like just discouraged by it. But I had to come to a point where I realized God did not place me in a position to fail. Psalm 62:6. I have some notes on the side. It says, this is David again. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I want you to look at these words real quick. Ready? I shall not be moved. He is acknowledging, he's not ignoring the problem, he's not diminishing, he knows what he's dealing with. I'm not here to tell you and to make you recognize your own battles. You know what you're dealing with. You know the big giant that's in your life. You know the scenarios that you're facing. But David says, I know this, but guess what? Because I have God, I will not be moved. I'm here, I'm going to continue to be here, and I'm going to continue going forward. I might be surrounded, but I'm not forsaken. I might be in danger today, but I will not live in despair. I might fall, but I won't live like a failure. There's been so many times in my life where I'm just like, you know, have you heard the term when we were growing up, it was like slap yourself? That's me. I'm like, Ben, slap yourself. How dumb can you get, Ben? Church, if we're going to have a heart of a warrior, you got to remember, God does not place you in a position to fail. God did not write a script. He's like, I hope Josh fails today. I hope Pastor Ben just ruins his whole life. And even if you do, I shall not be moved. Even if I fall, I shall not be moved. Even if I'm surrounded, I shall not be moved. Even if I'm struggling, I shall not be moved. Even if those are impossible, I shall not be moved. I shall not be moved. Because I understand that God does not put me in a position to fail. I want to look at verse 5 and 6. We'll start to close this up. But I have trusted in thy mercy. My heart shall rejoice in thy salvation. I will sing unto the Lord because he had dealt bountifully with me. Hold up. This guy's, he went from complaining to worship. He went from worry to, God, I have trusted in you. Let's take a couple steps back, all right? Is he bipolar? I don't think he was. I don't think David was. And sometimes when you read the song, it sometimes feels like he is. I'm like, man, David, where you at, bro? Come on. He's not bipolar, but he came to an understanding. Regardless of circumstances, God is in control. Regardless of the circumstances, God is in control. It's hard to accept that and to live by that sometimes. Because sometimes we are literally facing what I decide and I believe sometimes is the impossible. Sometimes you will stay and you'll be like, I just don't know. You have no answer, no direction, no way to face this. I've been there. In every battle, there are highs and lows. I might be hurt, but I'm going to be okay. The outcome might be a little different than what you expected. I promise. There's going to be scenarios where the outcome is not what you expected, not what you wanted, but there will be victory. There might be moments where you doubted God and you were ready, like, I'm tapping out, I'm done. But you realize, hey, God is in control. You might be carrying traumas and emotional and spiritual scars in your life. Something about scars physically. The pain might leave it, but the mark never does. It's a reminder, it's there. And sometimes you don't feel it emotionally, but you just reminded, like, man, I have a scar right here. And I look at him like, man, my sister-in-law, we were playing spoons like 3 years ago, and she's vicious, man. She got them claws, and she left me a massive scar. It was Christmas. I thought we were just having fun. She was serious, y'all. She stuck her nails in there to get that last spoon and literally went deep, and it's still there. And I remind her every time I see her, look what you did to me, Jen. Look what you did to me. Now, the pain, I don't feel the pain at the moment, but it reminds me of it. I can't take the scar off. I can put some makeup, but it don't fix it. Something about scars is, I might have scars, but I have a story to tell. I might be carrying some scars today, but I have a story to tell. I was joking about the pressure, about the time. I'm almost done, Josh, all right? Can you give me a second? But when he asked me, can you come through about a month ago, in my mind, I had my calendar and I was like, I'm good. I did not take into account, Pastor Josh, that I was going on my honeymoon. We went on a belated honeymoon, and I was like, man, I got to prepare. I got to get ready. And we were in Puerto Rico, and we were just all sitting in a hotel, just living the life with my little hat, ready to go to the beach. I was like, man, God, I got to get ready. I don't want to come back and try to figure everything out. And I didn't realize that day was a 1-year anniversary, and I'll tell you what the anniversary was about, all right? Just give me a second. I got a good story for y'all. Ready? I sat there, and I was like, God, give me something, man. You know what I mean? I'm a perfectionist, unfortunately, in this area, so I was like, I don't want to go to his church and look like a dummy. I might still look like a dummy, but bear with me, all right? I was like, I don't want to just go up there. God, give me something. And I opened my Bible that morning to Psalms 13. And I was going through it, and my wife was still asleep. She's lazy, man, not just joking. She was still asleep, and it was early. We had a little view at the beach, and it was cool. I was living the high life, and I was sitting in the balcony, and I was just like sitting there and I remembered. I got a memory. You guys got Facebook? You know the little memories where it sends you the memories? It was a 1-year reminder. It was a 1-year reminder of when I got a call from the doctor. And that call wasn't, hey, man, how you doing? Hope you have a great day. It wasn't that type of call. I wish it was. It wasn't. That call was from my doctor, my oncologist, saying, hey, you've been diagnosed with cancer. I remember that call. And bear with me. I remember that call because you say you have faith until you're there. I'm the pastor, man. I'm talking about faith all the time. And I was like, my world crumbled. Now, the cancer was very treatable, but the reality is I just wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready from that blow. I wasn't ready for any of it. I just was like, bam, okay, I'm going to stay on the floor. It's like that one punch. I'm like, I just give up. I wasn't married. I've been living in San Diego 5 years by myself. I had a ministry. I had so much, and I just kind of was tired. I was like, man, I was so disappointed. You know when people say my world came crashing down? Now I understand what that means. Like my world, my small little world where me and my puppy were, we just, and I sat down on my steps. It was a little, you know, Jason, that little parsonage that we used to be in that church office. And I started crying because I didn't have my mom. I'm 30 years old, but I still wanted my mom at that moment. I didn't have my dad, I didn't have my cousins, I didn't have my brothers. My girlfriend, my fiance wasn't there. She was in Indiana, and I was just like, and I just remember I started punching the wall out of anger and fear. And then frustration, and then I stopped because my hands started hurting. I sat down on the steps of my restroom, and I started crying. Because I was like, man, I don't want to go through this. And the doctor was like, congratulations, though, it's going to be treatable. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. doesn't really change the scenario, sir. I started crying, and I was there on the floor just bawling. And then my little puppy, like the greatest puppy of all time, by the way, he comes and he starts, well, what puppies do when they see their owners? He starts licking me, and he just starts freaking out, like, what's wrong? We just laid there, and I just cried. I was getting ready to go play basketball. I don't want to play basketball anymore. I had a meeting that night. I don't want to go to my meeting. I sat there and I cried because even though I knew the outcome would be okay, I did not like the process. I didn't ask for it. I was supposed to get married in August. That wasn't happening. Doctor was like, minimum, you're going to have 2 months of radiation. You're going to have surgery first, recover for 6 weeks. 2 months of radiation, you should be okay. What I wasn't ready for was that radiation was gonna put me through. That first day of radiation, my brother, thank God for my brother left his job in Arkansas and came and took care of me for 2 months. And I remember for that first day of radiation, I came out, I'm like, I'm good. And my brother's like, chill out, bro. You just the first day, relax. That same night, I had a cramp and I started vomiting and all this crazy stuff. And my brother was like, you look okay on the outside. And he asked me, how are you here? How's your heart? I was like, dude. I broke down. I was like, God, I'm just tired. I was like, ever since I decided to start living for the Lord, I haven't lived perfectly, but I've tried. And I was like, I keep finding myself in situations that just, And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. When you talk about digging a ditch and hiding in it and, throwing, that's what I felt. I was supposed to get married August 21st. That's the day I was finishing my radiation. Afterwards, I thought I was through the worst of it. The next month and a half, I got sick like a dog. My dad was like, come home. My family lives in Arkansas. Like, come home, get some rest. I was like, sure. I took a sabbatical. It wasn't rest. I got sick over there, came back sick, stayed sick, lived sick. I was like, God, when will this end? I think about it, and I can't help but get emotional, not because I resent it, because I don't. But because I know that my story, I know that my scars have a story to tell, and then maybe they can be an encouragement to somebody here. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what you're currently looking at today. But your scars have a story to tell. Regardless of the circumstances, God is in control. Man, if I'm going to engage in a fight, it's going to be this one. We got no choice. You either engage in spiritual warfare, or you get in a fight with your spouse, friend, whatever it is. But I'm going to fight the good fight. I don't want to speak about living in victory. I want to live in victory. Amen? I believe God has something special for this church. I really do. Look at you guys. Beautiful people, new building, handsome pastor, all right? I don't know, but you have a story to tell. Imagine if only you would allow your story to be used for His glory. I'm transparent like this because I like to be, because I like pity? No, I don't like it. But I believe that God did something great. And you want to know some secret? During that, I had lost my chaperone. He was not available anymore. And you know who God placed in my life? Pastor Josh. Remember when we met that day? I forgot the coffee shop. I was like, I got nothing to offer. I'm done. Remember, I was like, I got nothing. I'm done with this church. I'm done with my wife. We hadn't even been married, but I was done, right? I'm done. I was like, I cried to him and I was like, Josh, I am done. People don't listen to me at my church. They just want to party. No, I'm just joking. I was like, God, I didn't ask for this. I'm just trying to do something good for you. But my perspective changed. Psalms 13. If we're going to win this fight, we need to have a heart of a warrior. Stand and have a word of prayer. Let's all stand and have a word of prayer as we dismiss. I'm not going to pretend to be in your shoes. Maybe you have a more difficult situation. I believe it. To me, my scenario is nothing. I'm sure people have gone through way worse. I'm sure people in here this morning have massive giants in their life. Heavenly Father, we ask you, Father, to meet with us. I pray, Father, that you continue to work in the heart of every individual this morning. I pray, Father, that whatever they're going, they may be encouraged to have the heart of a warrior. I pray, Father, that you guide, you provide them with the strength to move forward. Nothing is impossible, Father. You specialize in the impossible. I don't know if the Lord spoke to you, but I would love to pray for you this morning. If the Lord spoke to you this morning, lift up your hand. I would just love to pray for you this morning. Hand right there. Amen. 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 I want to pray for you. Because if we don't engage in that fight today, it's coming. God has a purpose for your life.